Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
Okay. Well, that means it's official.
Is it done?
Yeah.
Are we starting?
We're starting.
What?
But I think that we need to have the cleaning team come by a little bit more often.
No.
No?
Let the spiders do their work. You know
Really?
why?
Why?
Because it's Halloween season, Jacob.
It's Halloween season?
It's a season of Halloween.
Oh, my.
And for the next several weeks,
So
you'll
you're
be enjoying some Biofriendly Podcast lights and spider. Wow, it's a lot of. It looks like somebody barfed on our sign.
Well,
Wow.
I think when you're here in present, it looks great.
Yeah.
But I think that, it's...
Well, hold on, we got to introduce our guest so he can pitch in on this conversation
okay.
because I feel like...
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I feel like because otherwise he's sitting there like looking at us like, what are you...
He's like, what are we doing? We're just vamping while our guest is waiting in the wings? Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
All
I don't hear my voice at all in my ears.
I know. I suddenly just heard you die as well.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm still plugged in.
Do you want me to...
I don't know if there's waveform still going.
I can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine?
Our
Okay.
guest can hear you just fine.
Well, so what we like to do is have technical difficulties in the middle of our show. That's the way we roll.
That's good. That's fine. It's a regular occurrence in Mustang's house too. It's the same thing. So.
Yeah. Well, see. Okay. Well, now there it is. It's just okay. Now I hear me.
That's incredible.
Before I didn't. What happened there, Jacob? What was that? What's going on?
It looks like there was some kind of. Well, first of all, we're getting callers.
Guys, don't. We know we're gonna introduce Mustan in a minute. If you could calm down, ladies and gentlemen, on the phones.
I think it was.
People are desperate.
I think it was the garage band said like we've detected feedback. So would you like the monitor on? So it was like our voices were overwhelming the machine, and so it. You know what I'm saying?
That happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so
now
sorry, I cut you off. Please, Jacob, what were you going to say before you get back to Halloween?
I was going to say today on the Biofriendly Podcast.
What?
We are welcoming a guest.
Who?
And this is a guest that we know. We've hung out with him in person, and he's a great guy. And he is the global director of the public affairs of environment solutions for Tetra Pak. Did I get the title right? Did I do it
Close
right?
enough. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
There's like 5 sections of that title. He's got to have a very big business card. Mustan.
My business card's like this big.
Yes. Mustan Lalani. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause. Mustan Lalani from Tetra Pak.
I want to be able to say what all the cool shows say, and this is friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Mustan Lalani. Yeah, because that's what.
right.
Because then when you have friend of the show, you have to say that. Otherwise, people go. They don't think you have any friends.
That's true. That's true. And
Now, I don't know if Mustan's going to agree that he's a friend of the show, but I hope he does.
I think he might.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Hey, that's wonderful. Well, we'll start by saying how we met Mustan. Let's start with that.
Well, I want to know what Mustan thinks about our Halloween decorations before we do.
You're right. Let's get back to the important situation,
because
which is our Halloween decorations look great in person, but on the Zoom, what's your opinion, Mustan?
I mean, the green's quite an interesting green. I guess it's green. It looks green from my side. It's
You're correct.
Maybe not the green I would have picked, but it's green. And the spider. I mean, it works. It looks like a spider did its business all over your sign.
It did its business.
Did its business. That's a great. That's a great
like
description
that.
of spider webs.
Yeah.
Did the spider do its business over there? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
And what about my background? Does this work?
I mean, it's
I'm
perfect.
covered in a forest or something like this.
Yeah,
here,
he's got a mirror, a plant, and a painting.
Nothing could be spookier.
Nothing spookier. That's how they do Halloween in Brussels, Belgium, which is where we're talking to Mustan right now. He's in Brussels.
Live from Brussels.
Mustan.
Boy, Mustan, when the pandemic passes, which I hope at some point it will, although in America I'm starting to doubt that that's ever going to occur.
I feel like this is the new normal now.
But we're gonna have to go out there and visit you in Brussels.
You do. You do, and we got to share a couple of these extra strong 8 to 10% beers, and I'll show you guys around a little bit, and Yeah, I mean, anytime you guys want, if you need a place to kip to, you can. I have a couch. That's also pretty useful.
This is amazing.
I love it. 8 to 10% beer is my love language. That's how you lure me anywhere. I think I'm going to book the flight right now. I don't care for.
Yeah,
we're Americans. We can't leave. Sorry.
No, nobody wants us.
Actually, there was a guy. I was at a bar on the weekend, and there was somebody, I guess, who was visiting from the United States. I don't know how he got here, but he did. He found it. And,
it's a stowaway.
and he was asking for pints of one of these really strong beers, and I guess he just didn't really appreciate 8 to 10% is kind of like double the drunk you would get from a normal beer. So he did the first one no problem and pretty quick, and then he did the second one pretty quick, and he asked for a third, and the bartender was like, really, man? He got the third, and he got like this way through it. He's like, he was almost on the floor. Like,
oh, for sure.
Within 20 minutes of being there, it was very quick.
That's hilarious. The key to when you're at a good brewery, when we can return back to normal, is you pan the room and you look for the person who has the smallest glass of beer, and you go, I want what's in that, because you know it's going to be the purest, strongest drink in the house.
Stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Yeah. For all of our young listeners, of which there are thousands.
We're talking about root beer, sarsaparilla.
Yeah, sarsaparilla.
Root beer,
But this is your lesson for your root beer kids: is when you're having root beer, and they're talking about percentages. The problem with higher percentages is that you get more root into yourself faster.
So much root.
Right, than you would see, because your body has no time to process it. So you want to be careful once it starts saying, once you start getting double digits on the old percentage of the amount of root in the root beer, it happens faster than you realize, and then you get into a lot of trouble.
It's incredibly true.
You can only handle so much root.
Yes.
It's just so that, and then it's over.
This is from a person who's living internationally, so he knows as well. He's living on the other side of the pond over there. What are things like in Brussels, Belgium right now with the kind of a bummer run up front? Like let's
get it out of the way.
Let's get it out of the way.
Get the bummer run done.
What's the coronavirus COVID energy in Belgium?
We're to be fair, we're tired of this. We're tired.
Yeah.
It's getting on, I don't know, since March, and we were hit pretty early, and Belgium's in the center of kind of all of the middle part of western part of Europe, and there's just a lot of travel through here, and we were hit early and hit pretty hard, and for a small country we managed okay, I think, for the most part. Our hospitals were overpacked, and we had to lock down for some time, and then we sort of came out of this lockdown in at the middle of June, middle of July, and we're going back into lockdown again, and it's happening very, very quickly again.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and you know what? You just can't. Yeah, you just can't. We were all allowed to go out. We were kind of like those kindergarten kids. We were like free to go out for lunchtime, and then we just all kind of made a mess of it again, and we've spread it around again, and so we're about to go back into lockdown, unfortunately, and it's inevitable.
That happened to us almost immediately in Los Angeles. We were on lockdown, and then they opened things up, and then it was like the moment everything was open, it's like, okay, now we're gonna protest, we're gonna go to every bar, we're gonna see all of our friends, we're gonna have 6 parties in a row, and then within like 3 weeks, Los Angeles was like, well, that didn't work.
That didn't work at all.
Shut it all back down again.
And we have the government's got an interesting way to give rules on this, because we only just got our national government back in force, and so we had regional governments doing their own thing and prescribing different rules and things, which was a bit of a mess, because you walk across the street and you're in another region, and all of a sudden the rules are different. So that was a bit confusing. But now we have this thing called bubbles. So I'm allowed to have 3 friends in my bubble. And so, and then people try to stretch the rules. Like, what if I have my partner with me or my family? Does that count as my bubble, or can I expand it? Or what if my friends have another bubble? Can we group bubbles together? And it's all about bubbles, apparently, and I just don't understand if that concept works. Maybe it's a lost in translation thing with French or with Flemish, but it's we're called bubbles, and
That's fun. Well, for the young audience, it's like the MySpace rules. You get your top 8. You remember that?
Yeah.
Back in MySpace, you had your top 8. So that would be like a cool thing to do here. You get top 8 people, top 10 people, or something like that.
I'm in.
You're in my bubble. Because I you know what I mean?
Thanks, Jacob.
Yes, we got...
That's such a nice thing to say to somebody. Hey, but you're in my bubble.
Yeah, it's kind of flattering these days, because, 4 people is not a lot. And so you got to be kind of choosy about who's in your bubble and who isn't. So I've had to politely decline
Sure.
dinner with people because you're not in my bubble, and I guess you're less important or whatever it is. So it's a bit of a tricky social experiment that we have going on here.
The politics of bubbles
is
really
really
that's the end of us all.
Really,
right
that's a great song title, right?
Yeah.
The politics of bubbles. Yeah. No, I can imagine that conversation being very awkward if somebody comes around and like, hey, did you want to get together and be like, sorry, there's no room in my bubble. I don't know how to put it to you, but
they only let 4 of us.
The bubble's full up.
Because
and you just didn't make the cut. You're number 5, and it's the government's fault. That's
it's the government. It's
Blame
not
the
me.
Government. Oh, this is so great. So great.
Government.
Well, that was
well. So now, so you are in the center of EU government, yes, in Brussels. So is that
yeah?
Is that
I thought,
complicated? Or?
It's a bit it is. Things have all gone virtual, and so there's not so many big delegations coming. But normally on my street, you would hear the cops, the police cars and their sirens because they're escorting some dignitary or some very important VIP person from a head of state from another country or something. And so that happens on a regular basis here. Yeah. And then normally we also have the protests. Last year around this time, we had the dairy industry spilling milk all over the street because they weren't getting subsidies for what they're doing too. So you see some pretty interesting things on the streets here in Brussels.
Wow. All the more reason that I got to get there immediately. So I cannot wait till we can.
Well, you're a good protester.
I am a great protester.
From the protesters I know,
Thanks,
you're top.
Thanks. Yeah,
I feel like you should definitely get to Brussels and fast.
On my way. Yeah. On my way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna get to Tetra Pak and what Tetra Pak is.
Yeah, you probably should let Mustan get some business done. Otherwise, he's gonna get in trouble.
Just like the spiders get their business done. I gotta let Mustan get his business done.
That's fair. And it's actually kind of interesting.
It's
cool stuff.
It is cool stuff.
It helps our show too.
And I wanted to say to the audience, like Tetra Pak is probably a name that you may or may not have heard, but it's definitely like a recognizable product because you've been to the grocery store, you've seen the paper packaging that's for soup or juice or whatever. That's probably Tetra Pak the majority of the time. Yeah. But I may not be doing justice to the description of what it is, so I'm going to pass it on to Mustan to kind of share what is Tetra Pak.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the intro. And Tetra Pak is a company, and we're based in Sweden as our home base. We were founded there nearly 70 years ago by one Dr. Ruben Rausing, and he had this idea to basically say, if we were looking at distribution of food in a different way, how could it be done? And he was really an inventor in this sense, and sort of and invented this process of aseptic technology, which was to package food, dairy, milk, juice, and broth in a way where you don't need to have refrigeration to store it, and where you don't need to add preservatives or additives in any way to keep the product as fresh and keep it as wholesome as it needs to be. And so this was pretty revolutionary at the time because it really disrupted sort of the glass industry in many ways, which was normally the way you would get your milk. You would get the milkman coming in, and so he sort of mainstreamed this in a broader sense. And today we're active in more than 160 countries around the world, including in Belgium and including in the United States. And we're best known for packaging for packaging dairy products. For packaging juice, water, soups and broths and things exactly as you said, Jacob, that you would find in the supermarkets around the stores.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, we're a show about sustainability. We're a show about the environment. So can you kind of clue in for our audience? I mean, you mentioned a little bit of that with keeping foods fresh without needing preservatives and additives. That obviously matches our what we talk about with our audience tremendously. But in what other ways does Tetra Pak kind of have a leg up on other folks with its sustainability?
Yeah, from a sustainability perspective, the carton packages that we make, they come from responsibly sourced renewable materials. So it's about 75% paper based, and they come from from different farmed forests around the world, and there we have a certification scheme so that we're not trying to cut down or clear cut forests in any way. It's done in a very responsible way.
Awesome.
with the Forest Stewardship Council certifications on this, and we have a thin layer of polyethylene plastic because you can't just put liquid into paper. If you try this at home, it's going to leak everywhere.
Right.
And there's also a thin layer of aluminium in there because this is what keeps the product fresh without refrigeration. So this is what basically protects it from having oxidization or light entering into the product and spoiling it in many ways. And so we can keep foods protected without refrigeration from 6 to 12 months anywhere in the world. And this is a really a strong sustainability achievement because you don't need the cooling, the refrigeration, and those processes anywhere in on the shelf, and it helps to store food and keep it from going bad right now. I mean, if you look at food waste right now, we have such a huge issue on this, as you guys know very well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I think we're there to help protect food, to help minimize food waste, and to make it safe and available to drink and to consume.
Also, and also a lot of people don't realize that reduces carbon emissions. Because refrigeration, believe it or not, folks, I know you don't fill it up with gasoline, but it is drawing energy, which while there is more sustainable energy than there was, there's still quite a lot of energy that's produced the old-fashioned way.
Right.
So it's so you're using less of that because refrigerators are pretty energy intensive. So
Yeah. Well,
and I mean, I wanted to get to talk a little bit about I'm an activist internally within the company about this, and we're calling it in the company, it's a climate emergency, right? It's really what it is we're in today, and I think that's where our true purpose and our value of making food safe and available while trying to take action on climate change, I think, is really one of the reasons I'm working for the company, and one of the reasons I'm very much supportive of what we do here. So I mean, the climate piece for me is one of the biggest dimensions, in addition to the food waste and minimization work that we're doing there.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is cool about it, that's great, and that's very inspiring, and we can tell that about you, and we could tell that the moment we met you, that your heart is in it, which is awesome. And, from an outsider, before I even got into the podcast and in the environmental sphere, if I was walking in the grocery store and I saw paper packaging, my assumption would be like, well, that's obviously the better choice, without even having this knowledge, because I think that, at least for me, and I'm curious to know what you think, if you see a plastic jug, if you see a glass container, and then you see this unusually shaped boxy paper thing, you already think in your head like, well, that's got to be the right way to go in terms of packaging. At least that was my instinct. Is that what is true overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think every package has its own benefits and has its own challenges and problems. And I'm not going to come here and say we don't have our own challenges. We're doing a lot on collection and recycling, which is it's an enormous issue right now, and something we have to really up our game on and work more concerted on. And we're doing quite a lot already in the United States and in other parts of the world where the collection and recycling systems are developed, but we don't have a high recycling rate. So every package has its own sort of pros and cons, and I think you have to look at it from a systems perspective, and I think there's a value in having options and choice in the marketplace for what suits your lifestyle and your convenience. It's funny. I'm from Canada, and when I was living there, you would buy milk in the fridge, like I think you guys do in California, and I think that's just what I was brought up to do. When I moved to Brussels and into Europe, the milk we buy is not in the fridge; it's on the store shelf, and that was really strange at first. And I said, "What is this magic potion? What am I drinking? There's got to be something to this." But you start to dig into it, and you look, and you say, in fact, there isn't any difference. It's exactly the same product. It offers the same nutritional value, and like I said, there's no additives or preservatives to make it do that. It's simply the way it was designed to keep light and oxygen from entering it. So it's a very different way to buy products. The other funny thing, it's a bit of an aside to this. One of my first days when I moved here 5 years ago from Brussels, I went to the grocery store and I was buying some, basic stuff to fill the fridge and just get going. And I was buying some milk, which I couldn't find. It was on the shelf. And then I was looking around for eggs. And I was like, where are the eggs? And I'm looking at all the fridges, I'm opening them all, and I couldn't find the eggs. And I was like, what's going on? So I went to the cash register, and I asked the lady there, and I said, where's the eggs? And she says they're on the shelf over there. And I was like, this is confusing. What's going on here? And I asked her, why are they not in the fridge? And she looked at me and she says, well, what? With a bit of a French accent, she says, well, what do you think? A chicken lays cold eggs? And and so it's just one of these norms you have to get used to, I think. And I think in North America, we just have this norm of buying a lot of the products in fridges, and you don't necessarily have to do that. And in many cases, the environmental impact could be less if you didn't have that refrigeration system in the first place.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, we have another friend of the show who raises chickens.
Yes,
and she was talking about
farm.
And she was talking about just that they haven't. So long as you don't wash them, so long as you don't clean off the outer protective layer, eggs are fine. Just leave them out.
They're
good.
Fine. Yeah, they're good. And actually, they make good omelets when they're actually when they're at room temperature anyway. So I've actually found it pretty useful.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well, first off, I want to say I forgot Mustan was originally from Canada. So one, that explains why he's so friggin' nice. Right. Two, I want to start getting a scoreboard here where the amount of Canadians that we have on this show that care about the environment. We are literally like 5 for 5
We are
now.
huge in Canada.
We have got to be. We had last week we had Mark Chandler from Earthwatch. And Earthwatch was represented at GreenBiz, and although we didn't meet him, and he was originally from Canada. Then we had David Dodge before that from Canada. Yeah. So we talked about how Canadians must have this like inside of them feeling like I must save the planet. It's just in you somehow. I believe. Anyway, that's my theory. I'm going to write a paper on it. Yeah. So.
You should write a paper. I'll help add a few sections. I think I don't know what it is about us. I think we're in this weird space where we're sometimes too nice, and I get criticized here for saying please and thank you too much. Sometimes that doesn't go too far.
Don't ever stop.
Don't ever change. That's what the world loves about Canadians. It's the kindness. Everyone I've ever met has had that real, generous and warm, friendly demeanor. And if anybody said, "Hey, Canadians, stop doing that," I'd be like, "No,
no, you stop telling them to stop doing that,
jerk.
You butt." Yes, no. Well, we need more pleases and more thank yous and more excuse me's and more pardons and more. We need more of that right now.
Right.
More than ever. I'm going to share parts of this podcast with some people who need to learn that.
Good. Yeah, we'll show them.
Play it on your balcony like John Cusack and Say Anything. Yeah. It's the section about being kind and nice, and he's like playing it on full blast at his window. So everybody in Belgium is like, what? We should stop pouring milk in the streets. Yeah. We should listen.
Yeah.
Oh man!
We kind of touched on this a little bit as it was going, but it's something I want to highlight a little bit that I think makes Tetra Pak kind of cool is you mentioned how with recycling how much is wasted, and in the U.S. in particular, a lot of our recycling ends up in a landfill anyway. We don't actually recycle most of our recycling. It's kind of horrific.
I mean, from our perspective, we're doing what we can to set up collection and recycling systems. We were probably one of the first out of working with our partners and our industry association, the Carton Council, which is a consortium made up of us and some other carton manufacturers as well, to set up collection schemes across the United States in various cities and regions. And we were working, mayor to working the doors of each mayor and saying, look, we need to drive collection and recycling. We want to be able to put it in the blue box. We want it to be able to be collected and recycled. Yeah. And we work to really establish the value chain, the recycling chain for cartons. And today we have a fairly strong chain. I think something like 60 to 70% of households in America can recycle their cartons in their blue box, in their curbside blue box systems, which I think is already pretty good and impressive compared to other packages. But I also think coming back to the climate situation, recycling is one piece of this. But you guys know this, I know this, and it's no secret here. We're not going to recycle our way out of the climate emergency. It's just simply not going to happen.
Yeah, definitely not.
Recycling has a place and has a role, but really, I mean, we have to start looking up the supply chain and seeing what materials we're using and which ones we need to sort of basically eliminate because they're carbon intensive, and we need to substitute those for low carbon materials as much as we can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Well, and there's also, I mean, it's something we talk about a bit on the show is the misunderstanding about oil as a valuable thing, right? Like that if we go burning all of it, right, or using it for every single piece of plastic of packaging and everything we use, then we can't use it for other things where it can be very useful. Right, because it used to be in the very old days that you would have to get a turtle shell, like part of a turtle shell, in order to make plastic, right? And so you'd be killing turtles or killing elephants in order to get the right materials to make what you wanted to make to manufacture certain things. And then lo and behold, this environmental great invention, from oil we can make plastic. And it had all these applications and all these great things where you could make things that would last and be useful, and you could actually do things with medical life-saving equipment, right?
Right.
And we're burning it. we're not using it for its purpose. Instead, we're throwing it into the air and heating up the planet. So the thing that's great about, again, when you're using as little plastic as possible and a little bit of aluminum, although I could be like one of those like a real hardcore investigator.
Hardcore journalist, really needle.
So you're telling me that your environmental product is filled with plastic and metal? Yeah. But for obviously the advantages and the value you get out of it, it's worth it, right? That's why you do it, because you can protect the food, it can last longer, without refrigeration.
Exactly, and that's why I love talking to you guys, because there's this view that if you use any plastic or any aluminum, it's really bad, and I think we have to get to this systems thinking about what does it mean if we were to take away the aluminum and not have it there, then what would that have an impact on food waste, for example, or having us to refrigerate products more and also heat the planet in a different way.
Right.
So I think that's why there's always trade-offs to this, and I think there's probably no perfect solution yet. There isn't, and we all have to work together to see what are the best solutions that fit our lifestyle, that still offer us the convenience and what we want as society, but also to take into account some these realities. We are in a climate emergency, and so we have to be a little bit more conscious, and every little bit that we can do to reduce the amount of plastic or to reduce the amount of other fossil materials, glass and aluminium we can, I think the better it is for all of us.
Yeah. Absolutely, because we need this stuff to be available for what we need it for, not for a single-use throwaway something, right? That's where this whole thing gets confused, and I think that people, and it's about education. That's why we do the show. It's so people can understand the whole picture. Because if you get the whole picture, you can see that there is a way out. That there's a way to get through this and to figure it out. But we just have to look a little bit broader. We have to go ahead and take a look at, so between these options, which one is going to buy us the most time? And at some point, if we're clever, people are pretty clever. We are going to keep innovating. We are going to get better. We're going to learn new things, and we hopefully can get to a point where we can exist on this planet without causing any damage to it at all. That's a ways off, and in the meantime, let's figure out the best options.
Right, because food packaging isn't going to go away. That's the thing, is we are growing as a species. There's more and more people on the planet. We all got to eat. We all got to have food.
Especially Jacob.
Especially this guy, because I'm drinking 8 to 10% beer, so you got to line the stomach.
With aluminum and plastic.
With aluminum with plastic.
Root beer.
Root beer. Sorry, root beer. Yeah. Sarsaparilla.
Your kids are listening.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like they don't know I enjoy beer. But no, I was going to say packaging isn't going away, as much as the extremist views that don't have to deal with the process, the transitions. It's like, oh, get rid of it all. But you go, well, we have a problem. We got billions of people to feed. We got to find ways to package things so that they will stay in order to, feed that many people. And so I think that what Tetra Pak is trying to do is at least help with the process of, we're going to have to keep packaging. So what's the best possible way we can package right now?
Yeah.
Right?
And we're not perfect on this, but I think, Jacob, you just a really important point. And I think the COVID pandemic really brought to spotlight some of these issues. And, we had disruptions. I don't know what it was like in the United States, but, there was food supply chain disruptions.
Yeah.
And so, because things were closed and there was so much, and people were not getting access to nutritious foods. And I mean, that's where I think packaging plays a really critical role. to be able to make sure that we can continue to make food safe and available for everybody, even during a pandemic. And we had to work around the clock. Our factories and our converting facilities and our engineers in our customer sites, they were all active 24/7, making sure the food supply chain didn't stop. And packaging played a key role to making sure that supply chain was still functioning.
That's so great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's key. It's key because if people can't get food, things
aren't going to hold together for very long.
We had a friend of ours who was saying that he'd read something about the amount of time that it would take for a soccer mom to become a murderer if it gets to the point that her children need food, right?
Yeah, true.
That's something we have to look at, and we have to look at it. I mean, we have to look at things realistically, right? Because it is a balance. It's like how can we continue to exist, but also acknowledge that yes, there is a problem and we have to solve it, right? And so how can we move forward, do the things we need to do to buy the time, and then eventually get to the Star Trek Next Generation device that they had where you just press a button and then the hamburger
just
was
appears.
there.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
Tetra Pak is probably working on that too.
Yeah.
No.
Those moms you talk about too. I mean, it almost got to the case with toilet paper. I saw the situations around the world, and we almost ran out of that, and everybody was freaking out. Imagine if that happened to food; it would have been worse.
Forget about it.
Like that's the funniest thing I thought that came out of if you play video games or you're a big film buff and you've watched any post-apocalyptic film. I love that everybody who's ever put it together is like, wow, we did not factor in the whole toilet paper thing. Like the next video game that has like it's the end of the world, they're definitely going to make sure that they include the toilet paper was the first thing to go. It's so funny.
And what's hilarious now is now that the toilet paper is pretty much back on the shelves.
Back. Toilet paper's back.
You have everybody on Earth now has like a 3-month backlog of toilet paper that they're sitting on. Like, well, now
I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tetra Pak has a campaign that you guys have launched, and I don't know if we were able to see the video before it went live, but we did get to see kind of a behind the scenes of the Go Nature Go Carton campaign. Is that something that we will eventually be able to share on our socials, like the video campaign, or am I not even supposed to be talking about this?
Jacob, did you make an illegal announcement?
I did. There's like laser beams are on me right now.
No, it's thanks for putting me on the spot. But the campaign went live actually a week ago, and it's in the United States, and actually we've been getting quite a good coverage so far. We've had some full ad pages in the Wall Street Journal and the Times, and we had a CNBC video with our CEO Adolfo Uribe, who gave a pretty good overview of what the campaign is about. It's called Go Nature Go Carton.
That's it.
And really, what it is for us is it's not so much about the media and the attention. I mean, obviously that's nice to have on the side, but we're putting a stake in the ground. What we're trying to do here is to show that look, we're in this climate emergency. We need to do things in a more radical way, and we are taking a position that we need more nature-based solutions in the marketplace, and we believe that our cartons offer probably the best perspective when it comes to offering nature-based solutions, and that means using renewable materials that are responsibly sourced and that can be recycled after its use. And we believe this is a superior option to what else is in the marketplace today.
I agree.
And so we're not only going to make friends here. We're going to probably have some controversy with this too, but we accept that, and we know that this is a conversation that we want to have and really start the debate about what is it going to take to really address this. And we believe nature-based solutions is the way forward on this.
Yeah, I agree. And so, hey, sometimes doing what's right isn't always easy.
Yeah.
In fact, often doing what's right isn't easy. But but you're doing what's right, and we really appreciate that. And that's
Yeah.
One of the many reasons we're glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. I mean, if you look at packaging, one of the things when I think I said when I met you guys in Phoenix earlier this year, it sounds like a
million years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. But when we did meet, I said, one of the things that we've uncovered when doing some research about this in preparation for this campaign was if you look at packaging, the production and the extraction of just the raw materials to make different types of packaging, plastics, metal, glass, and cartons, the climate index, the carbon emissions are already greater than aviation and shipping combined.
Right.
So that's something like 1.1 gigatons, which is almost what the UK or what Germany emits on an annual basis.
Right.
And so that's enormous, right?
Yeah.
And this is just packaging.
Yeah.
And so, people think about, if we recycle our packages, that helps. And of course it has an impact, but we're not really addressing the root cause of this, which is what materials we're using in the first place.
Right.
And so, what we're trying to do with this campaign is to have open and honest and transparent conversations about what is it going to take to really address that impact that we're having on the climate emergency today. And having emissions already greater than aviation is incredible. And I think not everybody knows that. And I think it's really coming to fruition with this campaign. We're getting a lot of feedback that says, wow, how do we raise awareness about this? We thought just going to green electricity was the way forward, but no, I think what you guys are saying, Tetra Pak, is that we have to also look at materials in a different way too.
Well, that's it. I mean, green energy, the one of the largest difficulties about sustainability is energy storage, right? Because these batteries, I mean, they're terrific and they're way better than what they used to be, and there's obviously improvement, and that's fantastic. But there's a lot of mining involved in batteries, and so when Tesla announces that they're doing it all in Nevada instead of across from the Congo up to China back to to California, it's better, right? Because it's all in one place. But still, there's a footprint to that. I mean, there's something you have to look at, and again, that's kind of where you have to weigh it. It's like, right, but is it better? And the answer, if you do it right, yes, it is better. And can we come up with technology that makes it better? Absolutely. Like, so there's we can get there, but it's making those choices, figuring out, bringing awareness, like you're talking about, to what the problem is, and then making the choices to be like, okay, how long can we do this, and when do we need to have something to replace it, and when do we start doing that instead of the other thing that was worse? And that's just a
and you talk about the batteries, and I was watching this weekend. I don't know if you guys have seen. I watched on Netflix the new David Attenborough documentary.
No, but I saw that, and I was like, I want to check this out. It has to do with his life too, right? Is it focused on him as well?
It is, and he's called. I love it. He calls it his witness statement, and so basically what he's saying, at least my take on it, is that he's saying that he's been witnessing, he's being a witness to the slow, gradual degradation of our planet. And he's really focusing on this one, not so much on the climate emergency, which is one of the byproducts of this all, but more about the biodiversity loss that he's seen in his 93 years on this planet.
Wow.
And it's incredible. It was really moving to see this and see, look, what we're doing to the planet is destructive, and it's been systematically been happening all the way from the beginning of his life, and he shows a visual representation of decade by decade what's happened. And I really encourage you and your viewers to have a watch at it. It's on Netflix, and it's getting pretty popular where I am, at least.
Yeah. No, that's great. Like that's.
I definitely want to check it out.
If you don't know, then you won't do anything about it, right? That's the bottom line. You just need to get educated. You need to look at what's out there, because we can make responsible choices. We can do the right thing here. We've just got to have the data.
Well, Mustan must be our most popular guest, because I think that phone has rang constantly for probably the past half hour. So apparently callers, I think it's Angela, it's Stephanie from Tetra Pak. Everybody, they want in on the hangout session. That's what they want.
They want in.
They want in. They want to be part of this, which leads me to the point. I do want to mention, we talked about how we met at Green Biz, but it does seem like a lifetime ago that it was February. And we were, right?
We had no idea.
We had no idea
at that moment.
As we're standing in the beautiful scenery of Phoenix, Arizona, hanging out, going to conferences, drinking coffee, having breakfast and lunch, and you think to yourself, you're like,
in the distance, there was talk that there was this
something
thing in
going
China,
on
but
overseas.
Maybe it was not too serious.
But we got a chance to meet the entire team from Tetra Pak, and that whole weekend. What's so cool? This was our first green conference. You find your buddies. And you guys were our buddies. You guys and Holly from Microsoft, and there was a couple other people in the group, and it was just really, really a cool.
Not top 4 bubble people, but certainly other people.
Yeah. I mean, top 4 bubble is definitely Tetra Pak for sure.
For sure, it's top, but definitely top 4. When you guys are in it, you guys are in it for sure.
Yes.
I mean, we were the crew there, and I thought it was just great how many times we we ended up together on
Yeah.
these things and having these conversations and trying to understand better what the hell was going on around us
Right,
and things.
right.
And I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I got a chance to go see Mustan present in a little room. Like it was, that was my way of showing like, hey, I'm not just one of those casual dudes who are going to meet over a cocktail hour and then I don't support what you're going to do. Like he was scheduled to present, and I got a chance to race over there. You were already tied up with something else.
I didn't make that one, Mustan.
No,
because I am the kind of person who's going to have a drink with you and then be like,
Who's off with it? Fair enough.
He was tied up. But I remember us talking. He was like, we got to make sure. Yeah, he was like, if you're free, make sure you go check out.
I didn't say that.
Mustan.
He's trying to make me feel nice. I didn't
Yes,
care.
you did. He did too.
No, I had. There was a UN Sustainable Development Goals thing that I had. We knew some people there. I was committed to it.
But I got a chance to go see him present, and it was great. Like this, you had a really good way of talking about what you were doing, but also being very open, because you've mentioned this idea of Tetra Pak wants to start to have a conversation, an open conversation, and that's what I think is so cool about your company, is that it does seem to be like a look. We're not saying we have it perfect, right? And that's kind of the attitude you have to have in this day and age.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also it's sorry, just to interrupt you there, Noel.
Please interrupt me.
No, it's important, and I'm passionate about this because there is no perfect solution, and I don't want to go around beating our chest and talking about all the fantastic things. I mean, I'd love to, of course, do as a little bit of that, but really, I think the open and honest conversations, and I thought GreenBiz was a great platform to do that.
Really
I don't know what you guys thought, but I found the conversations pretty productive, and I know we will certainly be back. COVID permitting, very soon next year for sure.
Yeah.
No,
us too.
I loved how many companies were there, and the people that they sent were the ones who really cared. The people who were at that event were the people from those companies who were like, I really think we should do something about it. And it was neat because you could actually have some conversations with people and both give perspectives and then learn some new perspectives. And I think that a lot of us got a lot smarter. And I think that we all, it's great to have events like that, because you get people who can do something about it, who are producing a lot of waste and a lot of emissions. I mean, all of our companies do, right? And if we all start taking responsibility, then that's a big step to go in the right direction. And like I said, there is no perfect solution, but I think that we don't want to ruin a great solution that will help to get us there because we're looking for the perfect one. It's like we've got to do something. We've got to start doing things.
Yeah. And it was funny because I got back here to Brussels, and then I was driving up to Ghent to drink some root beer or something like that.
Sure. Good root beer.
And I was there, and I turned on your podcast. And then I heard my name, and I heard you guys mention me. And I was sitting in the car, and I was like, "Oh my god, they mentioned me!" And then I was like, "I'm instant famous all of a sudden." And that was one of the best moments I had. And I had all my friends in the car at the time, and I was like, "Guys, I'm on a podcast. They mentioned me," and I really appreciated that. And you guys just give such a good platform to have these open discussions. And I mean, how's it going? How's the podcast? How are things
great.
progressing?
We keep getting bigger and bigger. It keeps blowing up. We have big news.
Exciting news.
Is this the announcement? Is
yesterday.
This
this is the official announcement.
We're making an announcement.
We, the Biofriendly podcast, won the Consumer World Award Gold for Education Hero during COVID-19. So we won a Gold Award for educating the public about COVID and ways that they can, stay healthy and safe. And we found out yesterday. And so now
we've always wanted to say we are the award-winning Biofriendly podcast.
So now you've been with us for so long now. Now you can say you were there in the beginning, but now we're award winning. So this is probably the last cool episode that we'll have where we're really friendly. From here on out, it's arrogance.
The important thing when people recognize you for doing a good job, you must change.
You must change and become completely impossible to deal with. Anyway, it's going great. It's been a steady growth so far, but what's exciting now is we're now getting a chance to have more guests like you and like Mark from Earthwatch and all these people that we met along the way, that I think that we were in. It's funny because after GreenBiz, we were kind of in track to have these guests on earlier, but then because of COVID and changing the environment and how do we do the podcast, it really put a kind of a pause in where we were headed. But I feel like now we're back in motion.
We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. And now we're
back.
Award winning.
So I'm on the award-winning Biofriendly podcast.
You are the first guest.
What an
of
honor.
The award-winning Biofriendly
yes.
podcast.
Yes. That's it.
That's going on my LinkedIn page for sure.
You should definitely add it to your LinkedIn page. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yes.
It was so great to have you. I wore my best shoes for you.
He did.
Like, these are the ones.
And I saw these shoes on his feet, and I was like, those are the fanciest.
I've only worn them like two other times in my life. I got these shoes because I was like, these shoes are really the ones. These are.
He looks
I'm
like
very excited about these shoes, but so excited I don't want to wear them because they're like they're cool kicks.
They really are.
And
they're cool kicks.
I thought Mustan's coming on today. It's a special occasion. I gotta wear my good kicks.
Yeah, I wore my best heels.
You did?
Yeah, but I had to kick them off. I wanted to get comfortable, you know.
Yeah, so.
I'm barefoot over here, and
as you should be.
I probably should have put on shoes. I do have pants on. I promise you that. But no shoes.
This is a pants optional show.
It always has been.
I think it's always been our policy. Is there anything else about Tetra Pak or anything that you wanted to share before we go? Before we wrap things up?
No, I think you guys, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I'm always happy to participate and have these discussions. And maybe next time we could also invite a couple other friends to the table.
We'd love it,
and have another discussion about this. I think from our perspective, we're moving forward with our campaign, Go Nature, Go Carton. I'll send you guys the information and the links, and you can watch our CEO on CNBC very soon.
I'd love it.
And let's keep in touch to see how else we can connect on these things. I really look forward to that.
Yeah, you'll never be able to get rid of us ever. Like,
that's fine.
We'll be on your couch.
We'll be on your
with
couch
root beers
I'm
before you even know it.
So many root beers on Mustan's couch.
Yeah,
so many. Yeah. So anyway, well,
anytime.
Well, thank you for joining us on the Biofriendly podcast. We always give our guests the option. You're welcome to stick around as we fudge our way through the tags for the show,
at the end,
or you can sign off right now. It's whatever you want to do.
I have a few minutes. I'll stick around and do you guys
so you can witness the tags.
Yes, absolutely. Go for it.
All right. Okay. All right. So we are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Featuring greater parasympathetic nerve activity.
More than just charismatic megafauna.
Dolphins don't quit.
Nature is perfect. Look at eggs.
We are y'all inclusive.
Don't mess with Smokey on this show.
I wrote something down on the whiteboard that we were talking about that I have to say. Just wait.
Okay,
I'm
going to hold off. Go find it. Don't run off with your headphones.
Okay,
go run.
Because is that what it is? Just vamp, guys. Vamp.
Did you realize vamp? Ba 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 ba. What was the phrase that we forgot about? Is that what it was? Is that what it is? It's not, is it? It's not.
No. We said something that
we said something, but our new tag
so
now
what it says on the wall is you got to bring the zest.
Then that probably was it.
But I don't know if that was what we said or not.
We'll say it anyway.
You got to bring the zest.
And then our new tag is the award-winning Biofriendly podcast.
Wow.
Because now we can say
we can say it.
We're award-winning.
Then at the end of the year, as you know, this will all reset and they'll all be gone and we'll have to start over.
Yeah, in 2021 we get new text, except for Beacon of Light.
Beacon of Light is always
stays there through the whole thing. But we did pretty good, and now we know you got to bring the zest.
You got to bring the zest.
I bet you that was it.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't know. We were talking. We say things in this office. It's just the two of us. We all stir crazy, and then sometimes we're like that's gotta be, and then we write things down, and then I don't even know if it was. Yeah.
Anyway, well, good job.
What are you gonna do?
Good job. What are you gonna do? All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you again to Mustan Lalani from Tetra Pak. We'll be posting this episode this week, and then also you'll see a lot of the links and stuff about their program coming up here, and we'll share those as well. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye! It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.